give them a decent amount. Let's see if we can pull. See if you get a full rotation out of it. Feels a little. It feels like bearings are hanging up. Maybe it's the fan. Could be that fan. If I take that belt off and see. With the pull start, seems like it's going away. When I went to first turn, it felt like a bearing that was locking up, kind of grindy. So it could even be on the bottom end too. Let's see. Let's go figure out that starter. My guess is going to be 12 volt. I don't know. Probably not that. Yeah, it says 12 volt right there. Okay, let's go get a jumper pack and we'll hook it up and we'll see if we get anything out of it. If we don't, we'll maybe start operating on that and get that starter working. All right, plugs are in it. See what we got. Give it a good crank. All right, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna put a little drop of oil on there too, just to keep it from binding up. But finally, we have Spock, compression, starter, and we gotta look into fuel system. So I noticed on, again, we were looking earlier with that carb go that we had, the manifold setup is totally different. Is it still over there? Should be in, here it is. So it's got a diaphragm carburetor on it, which is in there. Who knows what kind of condition that is in. But let's unbolt it from here, and we'll see if that flange matches up to that flange, how close it is. This may not even be for this at all, you know, maybe for something totally different, but we'll try it. Actually, before we put that carb on there, how about we whiffed a little bit of fuel in it. And see if it'll come to life. It does. Gotta take those bolts off. Let's just go see if it's got the right. Oh yeah. Hey guys, and how's it going? Hey, we're gonna continue on this German, I think it's a snowmobile engine that I found in a barn that was getting torn down. And next to it was a bunch of parts, like different torn down engines. So it did come with some extra pieces, and you see right there, cylinder heads, and I think there's a block on the other side of that white tote and whatnot. Anyhow, we already did one video of it. We were able to get it running by using a squeeze bottle and, you know, putting fuel in it, and it would run for a second and die. Took the carburetor off. That was the next thing we were going to go get into, which is right here. And that carburetor, when we tore it apart, was actually missing parts on the inside of it, or at least one part on the inside of it. There's a diaphragm that sits here, that diaphragm sits here, and there's a needle and seat that goes right here. There's a little pivot that was missing, and nothing I could do from that point, but I was able to order a carb kit for it, and it should have those missing pieces in there. So I think, without further ado, why don't we go and try to put that carburetor back together. We'll continue on the engine and see if we can get it to be a lovely specimen for some kind of toy. We could put it in some kind of toy in the future, but we still have to get it kind of, you know, ironed out, get all the make sure it's a good engine to work with. Without further ado, let's go get that carburetor together and move on. I think we also, on the last video, we're having starter problems too. The starter drive was blowing apart on it. It had a weird clip on the end. I made up a little brass ring to try and hold it. It's kind of holding together, but it's having some issues, so we still have to go back and address this also. All right, let's go play with that carburetor. Well, we actually got more parts for it because we got a full kit. So let's get the rest of the carb apart. So it's going to have air fuel mixes. One's going to be a idle speed, and one's going to be the main jet when you rev it up. And if we can get these off of here, again, we have new O-rings and everything for them. Let's get rid of them, and then we'll put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, and we'll let it vibrate. It allows the fluid to get in it. I think we could take this one out as one piece. This one's probably the main. tell by how fancy it is. Yeah, let's get rid of that. And what else could we take off of it? And again, the more you can kind of open it up, the more the fluids can get into the ports when they're clogged up. I don't know. That is going to be... No, it's not the pivot shaft. Let's go see if that'll come out. Yeah, it's not happening. How about this little one right here? We have to get a thinner screwdriver for that one. Alright. Let's see if that one will come out. Don't even know what that one does. Holds some kind of pin in it, looks like. Whatever that is. Pry on it. You would think that little barrel would come out, right? Let's go get a some kind of pliers to grab that. That's just the other end of the throttle. That's not doing anything. Alright, we'll leave that off. That's just the throttle shaft. We don't have to remove that. We would take these screws out and pull the slide out. That does not need to be done. I think we are okay. I think there's other pieces we can get out. Again, I'm not sure what that does, but I don't want to damage anything either. Alright, go to the old sonic cleaner. And let's go with body of it. And then we got these three pieces. I'm gonna leave the gaskets on. They're the same. I'm gonna go take a picture of these with my phone real quick, how they're oriented, and then we'll drop them in. There they go. Tuck that down in there. Get in there. There's heat on the ultrasonic cleaner. You have the lid on it. It helps it cook. Well, some of you might have saw the first video on it, and part of the issues that gave me a big fight was the starter. On the end of the starter, they had like this clip, something like that was on it, which is the wrong style. First time we went to go put power to it, it blew all the stuff off the end of it and never to be found again. So we ended up taking a brass bushing and hollowing it out, putting a spring underneath it, so when this dries out, it can collapse on the spring, but then it pushes the Bendix back down out of harm's way after it starts up. And then it had a little clip on top. There's a groove here that holds it. I made this out of a piece of spring. Well, this doesn't really fit into that well, and there's really nothing. This ring should be encapsulated by the other half of this brass ring. So I think I'm going to go and do a little bit more machining so that this kind of tries to maintain itself for long term instead of short term. So let's go pick that little top ring off of there, take it apart. You also see how sloppy it is too. It's kind of, you know. I think we could do better. That's what my report card said. Growing up anyway. So this is just a hunk of spring that's on here. I have to hit it with 2 screwdrivers. How about that? So we made this brass with a recess in it that allowed the spring to have someplace to go, but it just wasn't holding together. And then you'd fire it up, the Bendix would come so far out, it would jam and turn sideways. So unfortunately, the correct cap, this part right here, was never to be found again. It blew off the machine. I just couldn't find it. So I'm going to go and try to make something up. Same idea as this, but try to match the diameter of it better, so it's just not so sloppy. And then we gotta, if we can make it a little taller, we can put a recess on this side of it, so the clip, once the clip is on, the clip can't open up and come off, and that's what was happening on it. That's probably how it was made too, you know, the first one, the original one. So I went over the lathe. Here's the one that we had. Found some other pieces. I think they're going to be the ID too small, but I think we cut this one in half off of there, and that one's might have the thickness that we need. Yeah. So maybe we'll try whittling that away the same direction. What I'll do is I'll make a shoulder for the spring to fit in on this side like we did, and then on the other side of it, so we made a shoulder so the spring has someplace to go. Has to kind of hide because that sprocket comes all the way up and hits against this. So that has to have someplace to go to not damage the spring. And then we'll go make a recess on the other edge so that that ring has someplace to go and it can't expand and fall off. Here's my stash of brass. Let's go see if we can find something that will fit the bill. I think that's what we kind of cut it out at the beginning with. The only problem with these have like a an oil gallery around them going through them. They all like that? Yeah. So I'll pick a little bit, but I think we're going to end up using one of these over again. If I can find a solid one, it'd be awesome. I think they're all going to be the same, right? Okay, well, I'm going to dig and see what we can come up with. I think we're going to end up with using one of them over again. One side that encapsulates that so it can't open up and fall off. Let's go a little deeper on that one, and then on the other side we'll just bore it for, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or so. That should be enough of this. Yeah, so that one's got that side. We'll flip it over. And we won't cut it down yet. We'll leave it kind of like full length. I'll bore out as I see fit. Yeah, I'll probably bore it a good hat, probably with the chuck is right now, and then we'll decide how far we want to cut it when we put it back on the starter. You also got to make sure the spring is going to fit it. Use that area for practice, so to speak. Let's go see. Make sure the spring is going to drop in, which it is. Good. All right, I'm going to work on that. That's pretty far. If we get a bigger shoulder on it too, we can also put a a little bit beefier spring. Yeah, good. Okay, we're probably still going to cut off 1/4 inch or so of this 1/4 inch to 3/8 on the outer edge, but rather have it too big than too small. It's easier to take off than it is to add. Alright, back at the scene of the crime. We got the spring to go on. And probably would have been a good idea to deburr that, huh? We'll deburr it right now. Alright, you're deburred. So that's definitely too long because that can't even turn up to have that gear run into that gear. So let's start whittling away. Do I have a Sharpie out? Yeah, I've got a pen. I whittled it down, put it on there. I think we're going to need, because we need those teeth to engage a little bit more than that. So I'm going to run this shoulder down. The one for the spring seems like it's okay. There's enough room for that to hide and not get damaged. I tried leaving it flush on one of the early ones, and no good. It destroyed the spring. Let's go lower that a little bit more so that clip can sit a little further down. That allows it to lift up a little higher. Alright, so far this is what we're going to go with. There's the recess for the ring that holds it, and then for the spring we have that room. The only problem I don't like, see how the end of this, I cut it off of a length. I really want it like that side where it's collapsed on itself so that the spring doesn't work its way either under the collar of that or in the collar of this. So let's go cut off a section, and maybe what we'll do is we'll heat the end of it up and we'll see if we can like collapse it, make it look like that. Haven't tried that yet, but let's go see if that'll work for us. We got plenty to work with in case the first one doesn't. All we're really doing is just taking the temper out of it. What do you think? Good? Huh? Let's go to a little more. Try to get it flat. That should do it. I'm not crazy. The little tip is hanging out a little. Maybe I'll cut that off with a wire cutter. It looks a little tighter as it wraps around. So we want this. The bottom one should be able to collapse on that spring altogether and hide it without damaging the spring. This should be able to get popped on there. And then hopefully, those pliers are going to be big enough. And we'll look, yeah, there we go. Now, the problem is, will that come up enough? Oh man, it's just barely catching. I think we gotta go still a little bit more. So should we? Might as well just keep doing what we're doing. I'll make this well a little deeper so it can come up higher. There's only so much meat in between there. I'm trying to keep a little bit of shoulder on that. I think we should. Yeah, it's just barely catching. Well. We gotta do what we gotta do. Oh, it's better. Let's go give her some goober. Give her a fighting chance. Probably should have put some on before I put the bushing on, right? Get down in there. Get in there. Just gonna fling it off anyway. It'll fling off what it doesn't need. High tech right there. Yeah. Let's take it, lay it on its side, hook a jumper pack to it, and spin it. Alright, I got a jumper pack hooked to it. And if I turn it on, it should energize it. Let's go see what happens. Looks pretty good. It's engaging about halfway. My fear is if we whittle down any more on this is not going to be stable. So I think we'd kind of leave it like that for now. Good. I think it's time we get our carburetor parts out of the cleaner. Try putting them together. How's our soup? Well, that is nice and toasty. Woohoo! We'll let that drain. We'll rinse it with some water, and we'll bring it back to the assembly bench. I got everything all dried up. Let's go see. Good time to check, right? If all the parts are in there that we need to do a proper rebuild without tearing anything, as the spring gets us. Alright, so we'll keep the piles as zero. That one matches that. And we need the big one. And then these get like gaskets stacked on them with a diaphragm. And then it needs those. I don't see that one. Got a little, there it is. A little bridge going across it. Is that one? And I don't see that one at all. I know. Open your eyes. And the rest is just the base gaskets. So let's go and get, we're going to need that. That goes on the, I think, the diaphragm gets like a double. Yeah, so that is that. And the piece that we were missing was a little bridge right there. So it's a needle and seat. There's the seat. And it has, it looks like a couple of different weight springs. So that has springs that bounce against it. And I see different colors. I thought there was supposed to be 3 in this kit. And there it is. So there's 3 different weights of springs that counter the needle and seat. And what works that needle and seat is the center of that diaphragm up there. I don't know what was in it because we didn't have that. So let's go try to go for one that is in the middle. I think it goes by length. You got a shorty. I'm just going to go the old... yeah. That one's very stiff. This one's lighter. And this one's shorter. Alright, let's go for this one. And if we have a problem, we have to open it up and change those pieces back in. Do you really want to see the assembly? I'll show you the putting the base together. I gotta get a little socket to get that original seat out of it. There's not much room around the shoulder. Yeah, that's not gonna fit. We need a shallow socket to get in there. That's how you ever build a carburetor. Yes, indeed. Come on. See if it'll go. If it doesn't, yeah, we got it. If it doesn't, we're going to end up leaving it. So that's the old, that's the new. I'm just going to eyeball everything. Sometimes there is a gasket on the base of that. I do not see one in here though. I don't see any in the kit. All right. That's better. I took that throttle bracket off of there too. So there is the needle. And again, that's the fuel comes in from that seat that's down below. This should have a pin that goes through it, and that's what it pivots on. And then we have to get a little spring underneath it. We said we're going to go with the brass one, right? That's what puts tension on that little door. And I think probably he had, again, there was those other engines with this. So I have a feeling he took parts off of this one to get another one running. That's why I was missing. No other reason why I would be missing, so. I think that's the screw that goes there. So this is essentially your float bowl, like on a regular carburetor. This would be kind of what the area of the float bowl would be. And we need to put that metal dauber faces down on it. I got to remember which side. Sometimes the gasket can go on either side of this. So we'll look at the old one. And the old one, it was on the bottom. I think it kind of works like a shim. Well, that's not right. Lines up now. So that would go. Usually, I think it's the nub. All the nubs are going to end up lining up together. That is wrong. 180 out. Let's try it this way. That's wrong. Let's 5 screws holding it down. Has that got 5? Yes. Came off of there. And that's fragile. Kind of fits. It's that hole's not even really centered over it. But that's your little I wouldn't call it the fuel pump. Fuel reservoir on off. And then we got to remember how all these went with their matching gaskets. But I was fortunate enough that I did a quick video on my phone. So I will spy at that and I will stack the pieces back on and throw it back on the machine. And through the magic of video, I can pretend like I remembered it all. That's it. Little wafers are just stacked back together the way it came apart. These new ones, of course, it never really does fit all that great compared to what you take apart. I found like the motorcycle carb kits, those can be really bad. They don't use as little parts as possible. They make, like, if you get genuine like Honda kit, not a problem, but like the aftermarket ones that they sell, whatever you absolutely need, put in there. But your old stuff will probably even hold up better. Even like these, you see I'm trying to put the screws in and the holes are kind of like iffy. I'm going to knock them out. We do have some other pieces too. See, like I was just talking about, you'll get replacement screws, like air fuel mix screws. See, like in this kit, you'll see they come with nice clean ones, nice new ones. I am just going to use the old one over because a lot of times the profile isn't the same and it causes some differences in them and lengths and everything else. If you didn't have them, like I said, I'd use it over, but I'm going to use all the old stuff over. It just seems to work much better than what they give you. I just had a lot of problems with them. So, I think that's all we need. That gasket stays with it. I can go with here. And we'll put this in the stash for the next one that's missing a part. We don't need to order a whole kit. Yeah. Sometimes it matters there'll be little ports going into the intake with those little holes. This one does not have it. It's externally fired, very best way to say it. And what fires it is this vacuum hose coming off the crankcase. But sometimes, like I said, they run it in through the carburetor. This I have to kind of, I think when we took it apart, we had to kind of like lift it up a little bit, get it started, work it down. So I'll do that for the hardware on both sides. Yeah, one side started, but you got to kind of lift up on them, get the hardware started. And you can't tighten down one side, you got to kind of do one on you, one on you. And now I think we got it. I believe this is our vacuum signal coming from our crankcase, which should go there. I think so anyway. And our fuel goes in there. I spun it around to get the pulley hanging off. I think we are somewhat secured. I have not turned the fuel on yet. See what happens when that does its thing. Come in. Yeah, you try it one-handed. There we go. See how far our bubbles go. Okay, let's get you back in the stand. We'll give her a crank a little bit. We may have to turn the idle speed up. Where is the idle speed on it? Maybe on this linkage right here. So it's that screw. Let's crank that down a little bit, give her a little bit higher RPM because it's going to be off. The air fuel mix is not dialed in yet, so we'll have to try to get it running, and once it's running we can tweak the two of them between the idle and the main. We are getting a lot of fuel kicking out of it. Way too much fuel. Give it one more. Nope. Something's wrong. I got something wrong. I'm going to try taking that breather hose off. Nah. She's puking fuel. My feeling is that needle and seat are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. There's literally raw fuel just pouring. Like, it's never shutting it off. That needle and seat, just the valve isn't shutting. So the bowl's staying open all the time. Let me go back in. Something's wrong. So the problem is now the crankcase has a bunch of fuel in it. So let's see if we can crank that out of it. It just pissed right into the, oof, that's not good. Pouring out the exhaust. That's how much gas went through it. Yeah, it's not to have a fire. Don't mind the noise of the fan in the background. So what I think is we have to go heavier on that spring because it's just not shutting the fuel off. That does just not have enough spring tension to close the valve against that diaphragm. So that is our issue. The other thing too is I wonder if something possibly was assembled upside down when we took the carb apart. I went and put it back together the way we saw it, but again, somebody was already in there stealing the pieces. So we need to go. I'm gonna go now with the heaviest spring, whichever one is the. Probably gonna be that one. I'm gonna try putting that one in there. Actually, I'm kind of questioning that needle. The needle has a groove on the side of it, right there. That, let's go call it the fork, fits into. And it pushes down on it to shut it off. But judging from the angle, it almost looks like there's not enough room. Let me put the pin in it. Almost looks like the fork is, I don't know. I have enough room to shut it off. Well, let's go put it together with the larger spring. I think is this one, right? Yeah, we had the brass one in it before, so we'll put this one in there. And I'll put it back together. Because I'm looking at how tall the old one stood proud compared to that one. But this one doesn't have the area to be grabbed. Yeah, it's got a lot. I wonder if it's going to actually be too much now. Again, without the old stuff to really tell what we had, it's hard to say. Guess we're going to find out, aren't we? I don't have any fuel hooked up to it. Let's go get her cleared out first. It may fire for a second. There you go. Go give it a little throttle. Fuel's out of it now. All right, let's go hook the fuel line back up to it and see what we get. Nah, it's just flooding it right over. No good. It just pours through that carb. Something's not set up right. I've been poking away at it, kind of slowing my roll and looking at different things and looking at our needle and seat and our pivot. I tried bending the tab down just a little bit, give it a little less pressure on it. So this is the fill. This is where the fuel comes in after the fuel pump, which is, you know, essentially that part right there. But right now, it's putting it right through it. Well, that's supposed to be off. It has no off. I don't even know if we push down harder on it. Will it seal? No, still not sealing. There is, I'm gonna say that's your problem, but it is definitely not doing what it's supposed to be doing. The idea again is to shut that fuel off. And it is not doing that. Why it is not doing that, I don't know. I don't know if that seat is kind of crappy, the new one that we put in. Didn't we have a conversation about some of the parts aren't that great? Maybe we go switch back over to the low that drops. Let me go try blowing through that, make sure it shuts off. That one seems to work. Let's I can't use the other one, the other needle that was in there, because it doesn't have the little area for the fork to grab onto. That piece to grab and pull up on it. It may or may not need that. I do not know. So Let me go take that seat out of there. I'm going to go work with a couple of parts and see if I can get that problem corrected, and then maybe we'll try it one more time. I would have swore I just had a conversation with you about parts not trusting. So this is the needle seat that came in the kit, and that's how much side-to-side play that has on there, which is a lot. It really should not be like that. Here's the one that was in the other one. It feels like the diameter of this one, especially in this seat, feels much better. I think maybe we'll try putting it back together with this setup, the one that was in it, and we'll leave this stuff out. I have a feeling the combination of how sloppy that setup, whether that's too large or the pin is too small, or combination of both of them, and how far down that sits in that seat, like whether it's able to even shut it off altogether, is even viable. I think I don't think it just can put enough down pressure on it with the fork to shut that jet off. I don't think there's enough room for it to do that. So even if we bend that fork, it seems like it bottoms out on this first. And it's not like it's missing a seal. The seal's on the end of the pin. The seal's not in the center of it. The other part could be too that this was just drilled too far down. I don't know. Just a wrong pin in with the kit. Yeah, because this sits the same distance down in that one. All right, so let's go with the old stuff. I don't know how well that's going to be able to play with this fork setup because it's not using that. We'll leave it so that it can, maybe it rests on top of it. I don't know any other way to kind of go do that. But. All right, let's try it again. So right now, no fluid should come through. And it doesn't. Let's go push the diving board down. See, that's the problem, is like there's nothing to pull up on that needle now. It may function, again, with gravity going the other way, because this should have there'll be a little bit of pressure. Not much. Let's go see if I can do this. I can see the needle lifting up and down. Let's go try it. That's all we can do, right? I think that needle that's in the kit is the wrong diameter. I think that's what the problem of it is. And if that was the case, it would sit a little prouder. It wouldn't sit as far down in the hole because the taper would not be as small. It would end up being a little on the wider side. It would sit a little up out of there. So let's go put it together. Like I say one more time, we're probably going to end up doing it again. I'm going to put all the new diaphragm on it that I had, and we'll try it. And if not, I'm going to look at my stash and see if I can find a needle that's maybe the correct one. All right, so I didn't bother bolting it up. Just turn the gas on, see what we get. And hopefully nothing. Because before it was just pissing right over right away. All right, let's go hook that up. Again, we need something to fire this, so we need a pulse. So that'll be the crankcase pulse coming out. Let's bolt it down, put that on, give her a crank, and you're probably gonna have the other problem where it's not gonna turn on. Now again, I don't think that's the correct combination that we have for that needle and seat. All right, I can crank with the jumper pack right here. Let's go see if we get any fuel starting to draw. I do see a little bit going in there. Let's go give her some choke. Not that much. It's drawn a little bit like what you would expect, not. Give it. I'm gonna pop you to stand. I need to be able to run those air fuel mix screws. Again, we're on idle, and also I need to kind of give it a little bit of throttle. Maybe give her some air. Sounds like it's getting a little too much fuel. Run that in, bring it out, like one turn. Screwdriver for the idle circuit. Got to back it out some. It's not getting, I don't think, any fuel. But I think we're definitely on the right track, right? Yeah. Let's go give that a little bit of fuel for idle. I think we lost our jumper pack somewhere. Hold on. Yes, we did. Okay, it's off. It's off. Let's unfurl it. So I'm not fighting it. There we go. Yeah, go back on this side. I'm trying to stay out of harm's way of that clutch though, just in case something blows apart. I don't eat it. Running low on fuel, I just went too far in with the air fuel mix, which I think I did. Because there's a bit of a delay from when you adjust the carb to it goes through the bottom of the crankcase and back up. We're getting her. A little bit of tweak. I'm trying to get the transition between the high and the low dialed in. I have no kill switch to shut it off. Let's, good, we got that kind of dialed in. Let's go play around with the fan setup and see if we get that on there. I don't want to let it overheat. It's not bad right now, but there's a fan that blows air across the cylinder head. Let's get that hooked up. All right, well, we purged the air in the shop. We got a new battery in the camera, and I cleaned your eyeballs because you had all kinds of stuff sprayed on you. The bearing seems pretty good for the fan. And again, it's probably been a month ago since I took this apart. I believe that's going to be the belt. I think we attach two of these together to create a pulley. Then that goes on because that's the cog for the pull start. And I don't remember what they did. We're going to go find out. What holds, is that what holds the pull start on? Yeah, it probably comes over and just grabs the side of the pull start. I'll go with that. If not, like I said, we still have a bunch of parts over there to go pick from. Let's go throw this together and we'll fire it up again with the fan on there. I wonder if it's set up like a Volkswagen Beetle where the top pulley is got shims in it and it adjusts for the tension of the belt. So I don't see anything that allows that to happen right now. I would think these are all the components we took it apart with. We should be able to get it back in there, right? Let's try not stacking everything at the same time. Let's get our holes lined up. Belt. Yeah, that'd be my guess, is that split pulley on top and uses shims. So I don't see any shims down here. You could do the same with the bottom, but it's just not there. Can we get plus it'd be easier just to, fighting with one bolt and try and assemble all of them at the same time. Let's see if we can. Yeah, racked on me. Get it? think so. Got to kind of spin it a little bit while we're tightening it down, because right now we're pinching the belt. We turn it. There it goes. The pulley's touching the bench on the other side, so. I wonder what kind of sled this thing was on. I think we got that. I'm going to suck them down, and I'll get the pull start on it. Good thing about the fact that it has electric start means it has a charging system too, which is nice. I don't know if it works or not, but yeah, the wires are coming out of the side over here for it. There's a plug on it. All right, I'm going to go hit them a little bit better with a actual ratchet, and then I get the pull start. Actually, I'm going to turn it a little bit more. We're still kind of pinching it. There we go. Okay. You know, it's a condition of this too, you know. I wonder if you can kind of index. Those paws keep just. I wonder if you can index this however you want. Maybe that's why they have it so that it's kind of move easily. Let's go with lining those two up. Think that works? We don't know the condition of that pull start either, so it may make a racket. Seems like those paws are just kind of flapping around in there. I would think they would have like a little bit of spring tension holding them, but who knows. All right, I'm gonna go chase these all the way around and try firing it up. We'll fire it up with the electric start, and then see how everything dials in, see how the fan works, and then we'll try it with the pull start and see if that works. See you in a minute. Just see if it chugs. Try and get around that. Okay, and we'll get a better base to clamp down to. Hey, see what see what dust kicks out of this side when the fan's on. Got no power. There you go. Uh-oh. Some things just keep rearing their ugly head. The bushing did end up shooting off. We're gonna have to make that out of steel. Can we try and pull start it? Good thing I put the pull start on, huh? We're trying to order the right one, right? Let me bump the throttle up a little. Yeah, gotta go so low. And I'm playing with the rich and leanness of it. I made it more rich. It's kind of better to run rich, but you got to find that window where it will stay running. So it's probably in just a hair a little bit, getting a little too much fuel. Well, I had fun playing with it. We got it kind of up and running. Again, that is going to be the bane of my existence, trying to get that thing cured. Possibly try to order the right, the right coupler that was in there. But I don't know. I think the brass maybe just eggs itself out over time because the clip is still there. I don't know if it doesn't look like it tapered itself. I don't know. Well, anyway. There we go. It will work with the pull start. We do have everything together. We were able to figure out what was wrong with that carburetor, which it was just missing pieces. And then we went to go put it together, and the carb kit that we got had an incorrect part in it. Go figure, right? But good. I got something that I could use this, and I think I showed it on the last video. If you want to go see what that was, you can go take a peek. But it's not a snowmobile. Alright guys, with that I'm going to sign off and thank y'all for hanging out, do a little bit of wrenching with me. This one kicked my ass a little bit, but hey, that's what makes it fun. It makes it interesting for me to try to figure out the things that aren't normal. Alright guys, with that I'm going to sign off. Thank y'all for hanging out. See you on the next one. Later. Alright, one more time. See if we go.